Local Decision 2022, thanks for tuning us in. I'm Eric Nelson here on North Metro TV, and the countdown to Election Day is on November 8th, not that far away. Rory Green is running for City Council in Ham Lake. He's with us now, and Rory, I'm sure these are exciting times for you as you get closer and closer to when the voters will make their decision.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast. I'm not a career politician by any means, but just living in the greatest country, honestly, and having the ability to take part in this process has been just a tremendous experience. And, I brought the family in on this, and it's kind of like a whole gang type approach, and we're having a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
What's the learning curve been like?
I thought there was going to be more to it, but honestly, it's hustle, right? It's knocking on doors, meeting with people. I had this mindset that Ham Lake needs to be kind of like this, but then after knocking on the doors, it's like, no, it actually is kind of more this is what the vision is, and this is what it isn't. And so kind of meeting with the folks from Ham Lake, it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot. I've learned what people like and dislike. And we have a lot of commonalities there, and I see the excitement and the opportunity that Ham Lake could be, and I'm starting to see that as I knock on doors more and more.
So what is that collective vision of the residents that you've talked to?
You bet. So through and through, it's the 1 acre lots. Got to have those, right? Got to keep those. It's the septic and well, having ownership of that. But when I ask, what do you like about Ham Lake? What do you dislike? And it's like, well, everything's great. Everything's great. And I said, well, what about the art of the possible? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, how do we make Ham Lake from great to exceptional? And what they've come back to me and saying, I don't know what that looks like. And I said, what if we put a restaurant on 65? Oh, that'd be great. Where do you guys usually go to eat on the weekends? Well, we usually go to Blaine, or we usually go to Coon Rapids. What if we went to Ham Lake, right? What if we had that source of entertainment, that food? And they said, that would be great. What about if we had a fire department, right? Closer to your particular area? What if we had an additional police officer? Well, yeah, that would be great. So, you start to hear some of the feedback, and there's all sorts of different ideas, but you start to see some of that commonality, and it really comes down to keep everything kind of the same, but really grow from a business perspective, but doing it in the right way, not the big boxes.
Right. So here's Ham Lake
Yep.
in Anoka County. You've got some booming suburbs to the south. Yet Ham Lake is more like an exurb. It's got this rural charm to it, as you said, the 1 acre lots.
Yep.
How do you preserve that?
Yep. I think that's the unique character of Ham Lake, is keeping those 1 acre lots. I mean, I think that's what's driving the value of Ham Lake, part of it, the character of Ham Lake. Everybody helps each other out. It's just one big community. But I think there's the attractiveness of Blaine being now the 10th largest city, having over 6 million people that go to the sports center. We have the opportunity to kind of get some of that Blaine money actually coming to Ham Lake, but we have to give them a reason why to head north, right? Even there's over 50 tournaments that take place at the National Sports Center. I think there's an opportunity because there's so much congestion. Come to Ham Lake, right? It's a little more spread out. Look at the patio, look at the food we can offer, look at the entertainment. And we're right on that corridor of 65. We always talk about kind of like the safety of 65. There's 60,000 cars that go up and down 65. Right now, Ham Lake's just a pass. Everybody goes from Cambridge to Blaine, right? Ham Lake has a unique opportunity, and I think we can take advantage of that, where we can get some of that Blaine, Coon Rapids money and shift it towards Ham Lake.
So you don't want to see Ham Lake continue as a drive-through city. You want to give people a reason to stop, visit.
You betcha, you betcha. So you hear a lot of people saying, hey, we want to keep taxes low. Absolutely, I do too, but I want to grow the tax base. And I think Brian Kirkham does a nice job on his website. It says, growth's going to happen, guys. We just want to do it in the right way, right? And I think we have an opportunity to be proactive versus reactive and kind of hand select maybe some potential restaurants to move in on 65, take advantage of that traffic, and grow that tax revenue.
So growth, but at the right pace?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We just don't want to slam everything in there.
Yeah.
We hear about the recession, this big doom and gloom. The CPI numbers just came out. Inflation's still up. They're looking at raising rates. I still see people building. I still see unemployment down. I still see opportunity. And quite frankly, I've already had some conversation with some restaurants that want to grow. So there's opportunity. It's just you got to present it in the right way. And like you said, grow in the right way.
All right, so whenever I bring up Minnesota State Highway 65, if you're in Spring Lake Park or Blaine or Ham Lake, it elicits a lot of emotions, but I think we can universally agree, got to get it fixed, got to get it up to speed.
Got to.
What's Ham Lake going to be like when 65 is better?
Yeah, so I think how do we make it better, right? So I'm endorsed by Tim Sanders, the mayor of Blaine. He's kind of already socialized the playbook of how we can get financially funded. He's looking at approaching the 99th all the way up to Bunker Lake Boulevard getting fixed. So now that Bunker Lake Boulevard is really the pain point for drivers that are going to be stopping right there. So how do we fix that? We have to get that funding, right? I think there's an opportunity of on and off ramps that we can figure out to get directed to our business, advertise and take advantage of that. And I think right now in the interim, because that does take time, in the interim, if we can get one additional officer, potentially even just to sit on 65, because truth be told, I'm a little bit of a lead foot. So when I see an officer, what do? Hit the brakes, right? So if we put an officer on 65, is it a permanent solution? Of course not, but it's a Band-Aid right now until we can put in a permanent solution and have people slow down if they see that police presence.
And as you mentioned, with Blaine relying a lot on tourism, 3M Open, USA Cup soccer, and all that stuff, and the year-round athletic events. So you want to pull some of those people north, right, into potential restaurants.
Yep.
And other places where they'll spend their money?
Of course, yeah, whatever's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I think of Max, I think of T-Box, I think of Ham Lake Lanes, I think of Dairy Queen, that corridor right there, bringing those folks north, and it's like, it just provides additional options. In fact, I saw a reservation in Blaine when I was at the USA Cup watching my daughter Zoe, who plays, and one of the signs on there said, minimum reservation, 40 people. And I'm like, wow, that's a problem. So then they go elsewhere, but the problem is the hotels, then they go back to Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, Bloomington. I mean, you name the cities, they go all around. It's like, if we can solicit and get that attention to say, hey, just up north, awesome town, small, quaint little town, has a bunch of great food options, right? Come visit us, right? And you don't have to wait 2 hours and have 40 people to sit down. We can serve you right away.
Well, here's a bold suggestion. Would a hotel work there? You know, as you said, they don't necessarily stay in Blaine. They go to other places. Could you pull people up north?
Potentially, yeah. So I've seen some hotels over in Isani, kind of by the BMX track. They have some big national races up there that they're filled to the gills. I would be willing to explore all options, right? Have those conversations to see if that would be an option, because there's multiple hotels. The sports center's getting a facelift coming up. There is going to be a need for that. Is Ham Lake the right place? Maybe. I don't know. You
coach youth sports.
Yes.
I'm sure that teaches you a lot. Patience. You don't win every game, right?
That's right.
Can you translate that into being on the council?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in life, everything is a team sport. In fact, I just had a parent coach, or it was a parent-kids game last night in the rain. It was 2-2. The parents were kind of looking at maybe letting the kids win. I got the ball and scored, and it's a great debate in the Green family right now. But I said, you have to show these kids that sometimes you're going to lose, right? And I think that kind of speaks volumes into the city council. There are things I'm going to be very passionate about that are just not going to go my way if elected, right? And so that's okay. That's okay. We all got to think in the best interest of the community, and it's okay sometimes to lose, because if you fail fast, you can move on to greater and grander things. And that's what I've kind of learned in sports, not only playing it at the collegiate level, but coaching it as well, teaching the kids that there's value in everything that you do. You just got to figure out and sort out where the value is.
So you believe you can sit on that council and build bridges with people?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, coming from a family of 7, I've learned to negotiate a little bit, and it's a little bit of a give or take, right? And I think you got to assume positive intent with your peers.
Public safety, it always comes up.
Yep.
I know you're obviously pro-police, pro-fire.
Yep.
How do you strengthen those two entities?
Well, it's interesting. So specifically from a fire department, you touch on something interesting. They had a fire department open door this last weekend that I participated with, me and my family. And I was talking to the assistant chief of the fire department, and he's like, where do you live? And I said, off 143rd in Lexington. And he goes, oh, we don't have the ability to put out a fire over there. I go, come again? And he basically said, yeah, because of the location of the fire stations, people in that particular area do not have coverage. I said, brass tacks, what does that mean? If my house is on fire, what happens? He goes, it's gone. That to me is very concerning. And I get that there's budget concerns and we have to make sure that we prioritize, but they visited with the city council. They proposed something several years ago for $900,000. There were other competing priorities. They came back later. They re-proposed, it's my understanding, to like 1.5 million. So it went up 600,000. And now they're back at it at 3 million. Things are not going to get any cheaper. We have to put a stake in the ground and prioritize. Is a fire department important? I would say yes, if we can be proactive versus reactive, because what potentially could happen, and I wish it would never happen, is our fire takes place in or around that area, lives could be lost, and now we're putting a price tag on potential lives. And that, to me, we have to do something about that.
Yeah.
So that one to me is very personal. It's like we got to have safety there. So, and then the additional police officer, I also learned speaking with one of the police officers, from lights on, if they pull someone over, and they said that on the weekends they're fairly busy, if they pull someone over, from lights on to putting them in jail and doing the paperwork, 5 hours. 5 hours. These guys are working 12-hour days. They're busting their butt. Lights on, paperwork, everything. They're off the street for 5 hours. That potentially could be problematic. So a couple concerning things, and I think we can address them. We just got to do it in the right way.
Is Ham Lake this hidden gem in the Twin Cities Metro? How would you describe it?
Ham Lake is absolutely a hidden gem. You know, I live in a newer development. It is outstanding. And I think what makes it so attractive is the people. Really, like, true story, I went to a neighborhood. I met a nice couple, started talking to them about my, my campaign thoughts and so on and so forth, having a conversation. And I'm like, hey, thanks for your time. Do you mind if I put a sign in your yard? They're like, yeah, you bet. I'm like, thanks for your time. And I'm like, okay, great. I put a sign. I get to the next door, and they're like, oh, you already got our vote. And I said, what do you mean? I haven't said anything. I haven't even introduced. You're Rory Green. You stand for this, this, and this, and this. I know you're trying to be fiscally responsible with your sign, so you don't have to put a sign in my yard. And I started laughing. I go, how do you know all this? Oh, we're all in a group text. The whole neighborhood is. And they're like, you don't even have to go to the rest of the neighborhood. I go, no, I want to. I want to introduce myself. But thank you, right? And our neighborhood's the same. We're all in group text. We're all looking out for each other. That's the uniqueness. I don't know anywhere else across Minnesota or anywhere that I've ever lived that I'm like, and we're all in this together. We're all helping each other. Hey, let me shovel your driveway. I noticed this. Let me put the packages in your house. Let me grab your mail. How can I help? It's always, how can I help? It's a beautiful thing. And I love Ham Lake for that.
Yeah, and have you been able to experience more harmony when you're knocking on the doors? Than we're in an era where it's political polarization and you're either on one side or the other, but have you run into any of that?
You know, a little bit, and it's great, right? Because it motivates me. It's like, I'm still gonna earn your vote, right? Or I'm gonna earn your respect. There's a little bit of that, but not a lot, right? I think everybody has those same core values, you know, little government, keep the 1 acre lots, the septic and well, and having restaurants. When I say, hey, where do you go for the weekend for food? They're always pointing to Blaine, right? So I'm like, as an opportunity to have restaurants in Ham Lake, would that be something you're interested in? I've heard everything from the Texas Roadhouse. I mean, people just start listing,
Sure.
Could you get this? Could you get that? And it's just like, I'm happy to approach any restaurant that makes sense for Ham Lake.
Final chance to tell the viewers why Rory Green should be elected to the Ham Lake City Council?
You bet. I have 3 kids that go to McKinley. I'm fully invested. My time is my biggest commodity, and I'm going to work my butt off, right? I'm going to roll up the sleeves, knock on the doors, and do the extra mile to make Ham Lake exceptional. It's great right now. I think we can make it exceptional. And I'm just excited about the opportunity to meet people and explore what Ham Lake's capable of doing.
It sounds like you're embracing the role of, you know, actually the chase to get to what you hope will be the prize, and that's being elected.
That's right. That's right. Win or lose, my family has 100% my back. We've had a blast. We've laughed, and we've met all sorts of additional folks in Ham Lake, and I see them around town. So it's like, hey, there you are, and it's like, hey, I remember you, and waving hi, and it's a great experience. And I just encourage anybody, like, if I am afforded the opportunity to represent Ham Lake, I hope someone comes behind me and has the excitement that I do to say, hey, Rory's making it great. I'm going to make it exceptional. It's like, keep striving for that as opposed to, Ham Lake's great, and we've always done it kind of this way, and let's just keep it this way. The growth is coming. Let's do it the right way, and let's do it together. And I'm just excited about the opportunity.
All right, hey, well, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
All right, he's Rory Green running for City Council in Ham Lake. This is Local Decision 2022.